This just in, President Trump issuing a powerful warning shot to the Iranian terror regime moments ago alongside a video. Here's what he said. The biggest bridge in Iran comes tumbling down, never to be used again. Much more to follow. It is time for Iran to make a deal before it is too late and there is nothing left of what still could become a great country. Laura, we're about to see the video here. You see the biggest bridge in Iran. Look at that.
Yeah.
Just tumbling. What a warning.
Well, by the way, this has been something that we've never seen before. The way the president has used videos, footage from all of these different attacks that the United States has done, there in Iran, I think has actually been really powerful. I don't ever remember another president doing this, but when you see that, you see the might of the United States military. You see the consequences of not coming to the table, and you see, the ultimate destruction of a country that is just going to continue. I actually think it's been really impressive to see how the president has continued to send warnings and continued to post videos like this. I think it's pretty masterful.
And he said, Harris, look, I'm going to bomb you into the Stone Age if you don't come to the table here, if you don't end this.
Yeah, something caught my eye, and it's important to know about this because the IDF today, too, has hit the financial center for how Iran pays in most part for its military. So that is critical to know. That happened in like the last 2 hours. The President Masoud Pezeshkian wrote a letter this week of Iran. And I thought this was fascinating. He wants people to see them differently. He says, despite its historical and geographical advantages at various times, Iran has never, in its modern history, chosen the path of aggression, expansion, colonialism, or domination. Goes on to say, and despite possessing military superiority over many of its neighbors, Iran has never initiated war. They hit Dubai. They hit all these. Oh, they've initiated war. Because no matter what was happening between the United States, Israel, and Iran, Iran decided to go to war with its neighbors.
Guy, Iran has a choice here. They can surrender their uranium, they can end the ballistic missiles program, and they can tame their proxies.
They've said no to all of that over and over again because they are fixated on getting nuclear weapons. And as we've learned from this regime repeatedly for decades, when they say death to America, they mean it. They take actions and steps to that effect, which is why it is intolerable for them to have nuclear weapons and the conventional missile shield, basically an umbrella to protect a nuclear program. We have the Israelis doing yeoman's work with us on this. We have the Gulf Arab states on board with us. Unfortunately, we do not have many of our traditional allies being helpful at all in this, even though we just learned Iran has been lying about missiles and that they have in their possession that can reach almost all of Europe. We have NATO allies not allowing our aircraft to fly through their airspace while we're trying to defeat the nuclear and missile program of this regime. That is, I think, very disturbing for a lot of Americans. I'm a NATO supporter, but you look at the French, you look at the Spanish, and especially I'm disappointed in the Italians. Some Americans are going to be looking with side eye at this alliance if this is how they're going to behave.
And Roseanne, this imagery is so powerful. This is the largest bridge in Iran. It is smoldering now. And if I'm in the NATO alliance and I'm looking at this, this is the biggest threat to the world. In my view, Iran, which is, of course, in an alliance with China and with Russia. So why not step up and help and allow the Iranian people to rise up?
Well, because the Iranians have been sending missiles all over the place, and maybe they're afraid for their own countries, but, and their boats and their ships. But last night, the president warned. He said they're going to hit Tehran extremely hard over the next several weeks, and the president is living up to what his words were last night.
Yeah, Harris, and then you see the tangential IDF action alongside the United States. Together, it's a domineering force.
Epic fury and then roaring lion, these two. And with Israel and the United States, there is no daylight between them in terms of what this country needs to look like when they both pull back, and that is they cannot get a nuclear weapon. That's the deal breaker. Like that there's no daylight between the two countries. Israel, though, has an existential fight a little bit differently than America, though, because of its proximity to this killer. And so when you see those missiles and you see the drones and you see all that swarming that they do, people in Tel Aviv, and we talked about it, Jonathan Hunt is right, they're spending a lot of time in bomb shelters. They're giving up a lot of freedom. They're being injured in some of this, but they understand that this is necessary. I pray for them. It is Passover. It is Easter. The enemy hates us because of how we believe, and it's on full display. But you know what? We are hitting them so hard. I mean, we're doing what Trump said we'd do.
Yeah, and Laura, I was so intrigued with what you said and the use of video that President Trump has. You know him, and it's the art of the deal, and he is a deal maker. And what he does and what he puts out, he is always sending a message. And this is a pretty clear message to the terror regime.
Well, you can talk about something, but when you see it with your own eyes, it hits a little differently. And that's why I think this is important. This is important for Iran. This is important for our other adversaries around the world as well. Because you want to talk about what the United States of America can do? Take a look at this video. Take a look at all the videos he's posted of the bombs dropping, of the explosions, of us targeting something the size of basically a fingernail, our United States military. It is really impressive. It has so much more gravity to it when you see it like this. And I just think it's so impressive because, again, we have never seen something like this happen. We've never had a president like this willing to do this sort of thing. And hopefully it's all for the best, you know, for the entire world, the best for our people, the best for the rest of the world. And just to go back to what you guys were talking about with the allies, this president has talked about how disappointed he is with the NATO allies. He also talked last night about the fact that the people who rely on the Strait of Hormuz to get their oil need to step up. Now's the time. They need it. We don't need it here in the United States of America. They're going to have to step up and do something about it. I thought his speech last night was really powerful, and I think that he sent a message then. He's sending a message now with this video as well.
Guy, and we would be remiss if we didn't mention that he mentioned the 13 heroes that have fallen during this operation. One of those young men had 7-month-old twins, had another little child. I mean, these are heroes that have given their life, and President Trump takes that very seriously and wants to finish the job.
Yeah, and he talked movingly about going to meet the final return of these remains of these heroes and meeting the families and people who are going through that grieving process. War is a terrible thing. I know we can be proud of what the military is achieving, and there's been an enormous amount of accomplishment just in the span of a month, despite what many in the news media are seeding as a narrative from day one. But those of us who think this is the right thing and a good idea have to also acknowledge that cost and honor them.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.